Welcome back to Optimal Play. I'm Brandon.
And I'm Kyle.
And we are totally continuing our one marathon day of recording our first impressions.
I got wet. I had to change my shirt. It's
Yes.
totally not a different day.
Mine was just has just been lightened from the dark blue, like the bright lights that are on us has gradually kind of bleached my shirt. It's just a lighter shade. Totally the same day.
Totally the same.
We didn't run out of time and,
Nope.
and reconvene the next day. So I'm exhausted.
Oh man,
damn.
I am not fresh at all.
No. Your hair's not still wet from a shower.
No. Yeah, it'll get poofier as the video goes on.
Look forward to that. I just start poofy.
Yeah.
Don't say anything about it.
What are we doing today, Brandon? In our continuing day.
Yes. We are looking at the Seeker cards from the Scarlet Keys. Starting with who?
Vincent Lee, the doctor.
The new investigator.
Yeah, that one.
That's the one. He ain't no ally.
No ally.
Although, man, I feel like we've been on topic for a while.
Yeah.
We can afford to sidetrack, right?
Yes, I did get out 4 words.
I really want us to start seeing ally versions of the investigators. I think that would be fun. That all kind of harken back to what the investigator does, but in an ally form.
I love it.
Like Lord of the Rings does that, has hero versions
Yeah.
and ally versions of the same characters. I don't know why we haven't started seeing that yet.
And then you bring the deck to a meetup, and you're like, oh, you're playing Boromir? Cool. My ally Boromir was pretty big strategy in my deck, but it's fine, whatever.
Exactly. Yeah.
So then we'll have the same things with Arkham. I can't wait.
You're right. So if Gret Wagner had just been Roland instead, like, isn't that a pretty comparable ability?
Yeah.
Yeah. Then you're right. It would have been exactly the same gameplay, but with the possibility that you hit unique rule issues. I don't see why you wouldn't want that.
I'm ready. Let's do it.
All right. Where were we? How far have we gotten into the Seeker cards?
Nowhere.
All right. Well, let's fix that.
All right. So the new investigator, Vincent Lee, is the doctor. He has 3 willpower, 4 intellect, 3 combat, and 1 agility. Ooh, slow.
He is slow.
He is a medic. A reaction after one of your card effects heals damage from an investigator or an investigator's ally asset. Add one of your set aside on the men's skills to that investigator's hand.
Oh,
okay.
Oh, interesting. You have signature cards
Set aside ones,
that
yeah.
go into the other player's hands. I don't think that's happened yet.
Yeah, but it's an investigator, not another investigator, so it can go into your hand as well.
Oh, true. Yep.
Yeah, that seems cool. I mean, the first bit of it, I was like, oh, it's Carolyn. I thought it was going to be like, draw a card, and I'd be like, well, I think we can move on.
And I guess we haven't looked ahead yet. I assume that having that card in your hand is a good thing.
It sounds like a good thing on the mend. It's not like, maybe you flip it over and you're like, actually, the bone saw made you have an infection. So.
Right. And I guess that other than his Elder Sign effect, this is his entire ability. So yes, I guess I hope it's good.
Yeah. Yeah, so you may heal 1 damage from an investigator or ally asset at your location is his Elder Sign, which is a +1.
Right.
If I will find the answers, even if it kills me. I need to know.
And he's got generous health and sanity. He's got the 15 total, which usually kind of means that the rest of him is a little weaker.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Unlike powerhouse Carson Sinclair, who gets the 6 and 6.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the stat line is also 1 below, actually.
They add up to 11.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I was just going to say, because I was like,
okay.
nothing was too flashy in the stat line, and then the 1 was like a kind of a big surprise.
Right, usually if you have a 1, you have a 5.
Exactly. Or at least 2 4s.
Yeah, that is interesting. Good health and sanity, underwhelming stats.
Similar to Carolyn, though, as far as the stat line. I think she also had 11.
That sounds
feasible. I can't remember off the top of my head.
All right, how do you build his deck?
All right, well, you take 30 cards,
Uh-huh.
and you put them together.
Okay.
Those cards can be comprised of Seeker cards leveled 0 to 3, neutral cards 0, 5, 0 to 5, and cards that heal damage 0 to 5. So
Yep.
Carolyn, up to 15 other Guardian and or Survivor cards 0 to 1. So
Okay.
very similar to Carolyn as far as the deck build feel.
Yeah, he really is the health equivalent of Carolyn. And I'm glad for this. They clearly did something different with his ability. He's not just generating like generic value. He's doing something more specific.
Yep.
Yeah, that's cool.
And then his deck building requirements are the Bone Saw, 1 times Investigator copies of On the Mend,
Right.
and Wounded Bystander is his signature weakness and a random basic weakness. Additional setup, you may begin the game with...
No may.
So, sorry. Additional setup, we'll take it, fix it all in post.
We'll cut that out, yeah.
Additional setup, you begin each game with 1 times Investigator copies of On the Mend set aside out of play.
So all of them.
So, all of them.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Okay. So there's no... You're handing out these On the Mend cards.
Yep.
There's no limit of 1 per... Like, you can give 2 to the same person.
Yep.
But you only have as many as there are players.
Yes.
Okay.
And I'll say one quick thing, and just drawing the analogous to Carolyn. Carolyn had a specific weakness in her deck building restrictions that was no weapon cards above 1.
Right, yeah, he doesn't...
It's interesting he doesn't have a similar
Yeah, I don't know
feel.
what that would be that would make sense,
Yeah.
like, flavorfully. Like, it's kind of... With Carolyn, it was to say, like, okay, she's a guardian, but she's not here to fight.
Yeah.
But I don't think the idea is that he's a seeker, but he's not here to get clues. I still think he'll probably want to be getting some clues.
Yeah, with a 4 intellect seems...
So they're not gonna... They could just be like, no cards that have, quote-unquote, investigate or discover clues. That would be...
Yeah.
That would be a little harsh.
Indeed.
Okay, well, we still basically haven't read him until we've read On the Mend.
Yeah.
So even though they are behind Bonesaw in the pack, why don't I look at On the Mend?
Sounds good.
It is a skill card, a neutral skill card, with 2 wild icons, innate, traded... Oh, it does say limit 1 On the Mend in your hand, so you can only... I guess that is kind of 1 per player, because it would go to your discard pile if they play it, right, since you own it, so... Yeah, they can. So they can only
Unless
have 1
there's
at
a
a time.
forced ability, which I assume there is.
Oh, good points. Let's read ahead. Commit only to a test you are performing. Forced, when On the Mend, would be discarded from anywhere. Set it aside out of play instead. Okay, so this is pretty straightforward. When you heal someone, you give them a 2 wild icon skill.
Okay.
Are you excited by this?
I'm not.
No.
I'm pretty underwhelmed.
A little. Yeah, it's more straightforward than I expected it to be.
Yeah, I wanted this skill card to have more than just icons.
Yep.
Okay, fine. Fair enough, though.
Yeah, and it only commits to a test you're performing, so it can't help everyone. That would make sense for the flavor of the card. It's like, you're Vincent has healed you up, and you're a little better than you were before. You have a little burst of kind of like a second wind or something like that. But yeah, okay, sure.
We'll see. Maybe there's something we're missing.
Like his Bonesaw.
I'll tell you about his Bonesaw. It is a 3-cost asset with an intellect, combat, and wild pip. It is item, tool, and melee traded. Vincent Lee deck only. As an action, you can fight, get +2 combat for the attack, and if the attack is successful, you may take 1 damage to deal +1 damage. So again, similar to the Meat Cleaver.
That's cool.
Yeah, I like it that if it's successful, you can take the damage to do extra damage.
Yeah, and he's got for Seeker, he has decent combat. His 3 combat skills, so this puts him up to 5.
Yeah.
With no other bonuses. Yeah, that seems. That seems like a very good weapon. Yeah.
And then there's another action on this. Heal 5 damage from an investigator at your location. Test intellect 4. If you fail, that investigator suffers 1 physical trauma.
Oh wow!
Do I love this or do I love that?
This is like you are you are amputating with this Bonesaw.
Oh no!
Oh man, and that's not
a max once per game ability though.
And that's not an easy intellect test for.
No,
that is his base skill. Yeah. Oh, so that's gonna be a gamble. Even if you've got an ally and something else and a skill card, like even if you're boosting his skill up to 7, that's still a gamble.
You know who likes this?
Who?
Calvin likes this.
Calvin.
He's like, chop me up, Doc.
You got a shot of tequila you owe me for saying a card is good for Calvin.
And we're outside Survivor.
Yeah, and this is a signature card for another investigator, and you still said it.
It's good for Calvin. He needs to accelerate that trauma.
All right, well, I look forward to our Vincent Calvin campaign and chopping your limbs off.
I can't wait. But a flesh wound.
Okay, I was fairly lukewarm on Vincent, but I love this card. I love both sides of this. I love that he is a healer, cluer, probably, since he's a seeker, and also has some fight capability. He's like a very well-rounded seeker, in a way that they aren't all that often.
Yeah.
Well-rounded. And then has this really cool once per game ability that I love.
Oh, it's so good. I mean, I genuinely, like, don't feel so scared of trauma. Especially if it's, like, if you have, like, an 8 in your health stat, like, having 1 physical, even 2 physical trauma is not that scary.
Agreed, yeah. And he can do this to heal himself if he's taken that much damage. And then he's not afraid of trauma because he has 9 health.
Yeah, definitely.
So he can chop off his own arm. Yeah. Ooh.
All right. Why don't you tell us about his signature weakness?
Yeah, so it's not all upside. He's got the Wounded Bystander, who is on death's doorstep. It's a null cost asset with an ally and bystander trait. It says, Revelation. Put Wounded Bystander into play in your play area with 3 damage on it. It cannot leave play while it has damage unless it's defeated. If it has no damage, discard it. Forced, when you take non-direct damage, at least one of it must be assigned to Wounded Bystander if able. And if Wounded Bystander is defeated, you suffer 1 mental trauma. So it's similar to Carolyn's weakness in that it's like, it gives her a big, or what Carolyn's weakness did was gave her like a 4 horror or something she had to heal before she could go back to healing any other horror.
Yeah.
This is a little bit similar, but it's not just forbidding you to heal anything else. It's saying, like, you better keep up with healing it, because if it takes much more damage, then you're going to take trauma.
Yeah. I mean, I like the idea that it doesn't, like, it doesn't shut down Vincent's ability like Carolyn's weakness shut down Carolyn's ability.
I think this is much more interesting.
Yeah, far better design, because you can push your luck and just be like, it's okay, I'll worry about the Wounded Bystander when I have time, like, you know, doctor in a busy ER, but...
Right.
You know, sometimes he dies.
This is all giving me, like, modern Carolyn.
Yeah,
like,
no, definitely.
Like, he is very similar to Carolyn, but with some, like, lessons learned about how to make a little bit more interesting investigator.
Yep. But, like, not drastically better.
No.
And, but, like, the choices are made in a smarter and more interesting way. I would agree.
Would you, or should we play a 2-player campaign that is just Vincent and Carolyn? Just heal our way to victory?
Feels like a very circle jerky campaign.
I think we should do it.
All right. You heard it here. It's coming to an optimal fans near you.
Our Scarlet Keys blind play. Vincent and Carolyn. Oh, yeah.
Oh, God. 11 stat investigators, both of them 4 intellect, and that's the best they can do.
Perfect.
I mean, hey, Guardian Seeker is the ultimate combo. So,
I know, right?
I mean, it can't go wrong.
It is like the staple pairing.
Yeah.
So why not put these 2 together? They seem great.
I'm ready. Let's do it.
All right. Well, what other tools does Vincent have at his disposal?
Oh, well, and pull out his bag, you'll find his dissection tools.
Of course.
Which are a 2-cost asset with an agility icon. Item tool science traded. As a reaction after an enemy at your location is defeated, place 1 resource from the token pool on this card as evidence. While dissection tools has ... 1 or more evidence on it, you get +1 agility. Has 2 or more evidence, you get +1 combat. 3 more evidence, you get +1 sanity. So it's the camera.
The Hawkeye folding camera.
But for the other stats.
But for killing enemies and the other stats. I think as a result, in a general sense as a yellow card, it's way worse.
Way worse.
For Vincent, at least, like, boosting his combat, suddenly with that and his bone saw, he's like...
6.
Yeah, he can be your team's secondary fighter, or in our Vincent Carolyn team, he has no choice but to be our main fighter.
Primary fighter. Oh goodness.
Vincent though doesn't particularly want to be bumped from 1 agility to 2. Like, that's still your dump stat. You're not going to care about that stat. You're just going to lose anytime that it's tested. So,
notably, Joe, what's his last name? Diamond. Joe Diamond likes this because it's a tool traded thing that's boosting some stats and sanity and if he has his signature weapons out, it can still be out.
Why does he care about tools?
Because his signature guns give him 2 tool slots.
This is great for Joe. You're right. Wow.
Because it does take up a hand slot, which we didn't mention.
Wow, so he can solve clues, kill enemies, and cut them up.
Cut them up.
That man does it all. You're right, I actually think this is a better Joe card than a Vincent.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, it's the dissection tools. Like when I and I'm going to play Vincent. I think I like him. I think I'm interested enough to want to play a campaign with him. I will obviously play this just because it's. How can you not?
Yeah.
Put this card that is clearly intended to be in the same discussion as Vincent.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think it will be very good.
Who else cared about evidence? Was that
Daryl?
Daryl.
Yeah, the photographer. I was just searching for what's his first name.
Yeah, and he can take this because he's off-class seeker.
Yeah. The one thing is he's not probably defeating a lot of enemies, but he can take pictures of them as they're defeated.
While someone is killing the enemies, he's there to photograph it.
Yeah, and then dissect them. Yeah, and then photograph that.
Yeah, I actually think this is great in Daryl.
This is a really interesting in Daryl.
Weakness.
And I don't think when we talked about Daryl, it didn't occur to us. Like, I assume that Hawkeye folding camera itself uses evidence also.
Yeah.
And then that, like, when they set out to design Daryl, they must have been like, okay, the other camera card has to be playable and make sense for it.
Yeah.
and it does. We didn't think of it at that time. It's an interesting interaction with these cards because he uses the evidence for his ability, which then makes this like not just climb up to 3 and stay there, but it fluctuates around what benefits it's granting, which is a really interesting decision point in whether you're going to spend the evidence tokens from it.
Well, I mean, you can also go above 3.
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
That makes it less interesting.
Sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, it's a way that naturally evidence is getting generated, which there's, like, not a lot of natural ways for that to happen besides camera and dissection tools.
Oh, man. We're going to get blasted in the comments for missing that when we talked about Daryl. It seems so obvious in retrospect that the Hawkeye folding camera is going to be a big part of his, like, play style and...
Yeah. Yeah, that was a miss.
Whoops. That was you and me, too, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
We caught it 2-3 weeks later.
Yeah.
But all still on the same day.
Right.
Somehow.
So please go back and rewatch that video and now
use this dialogue and
mentally insert this realization into it, and then we'll seem way smarter.
Yeah, we are. Yeah,
and that's why we do this, is to seem smart, and I think we crush it.
No doubt. No notes. All right, what do we have next?
Is it? Am I reading this? I guess I am. I'm reading my grim memoir.
Sure are.
It is a 3-cost seeker asset. It is an item and a tome. Oh, I meant to make a joke before we talked about the seeker cards that the shots were whenever we say a tome is good for Daisy. Because we inevitably say that with every tome ever made.
Yeah. Turns out the person who cares about tomes, all the tomes are good for.
Yeah, it just doesn't need to be said anymore at this point, but we still say it. Anyway, this tome uses 4 secrets and has action, spend 1 secret, investigate. You get +2 intellect for this investigation. If you succeed by 2 or more, you may draw 1 card.
You know what? This is good for Daisy.
It would be great for Daisy. You're right. Yeah. What follows is a true account. Would that it were not so.
Sure.
Yeah.
Why not?
And I don't think I said this yet. It sits in 1 hand slot.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is probably just kind of an all-around good card. It is a little, actually, I think, hard to justify for a lot of seekers to play a hand slot investigation asset that doesn't get more than 1 clue.
Yep, that's exactly what I was going to
Because they don't need... most seekers have, I think, more consistently than like any other stat or any other class. Well, maybe mystics with willpower, but seekers tend to have 5 intellect, with Vincent being an exception.
I mean, 4 or 5, I'd say.
Yeah, I want to say the majority have 5. I could be wrong, but
I don't know. I think it's a hot mix.
Yeah. I do think of Harvey just because he likes the card draw. He definitely has 5 intellect, so I don't know how badly he is wanting to run an intellect boost with no extra clues. But yeah, I think this is a fine card.
It's a fine card. It's kind of expensive.
It is.
I mean, the thing is, like, if you're playing on standard, hard, ish difficulties, like, This probably doesn't proc every time, and it's not investigate, get +2, and then if you succeed by 2 or more, spend a secret. It's spend a secret first. So you have 4 tries to get up to 4 cards on a 3-resource hand slot.
I mean, you're probably going to draw out these cards. If you're a seeker with +2 intellect, like, what are you going to fail?
Yeah. I mean, do you think this...
Famous last words, right?
Yeah, right. Do you think this sits in a primary seeker, or do you think it sits more in an off-class seeker?
That might be it. It might be for the Daryl and the investigate, the members of other classes who are still meant to use their intellect to investigate, but maybe have 3 or 4 and need the boost.
Need the boost, and also like seekers have so many ways to draw cards.
True.
And
this is probably not ranking as one of the better ones.
Yeah, no, I'd say so.
I will say in its favor, like, yes, it takes up a hand slot, but you can just burn through its secrets and move on. Like, you can play 100%. It, spend your next 2 turns, like, grabbing clues at a really high stat, drawing a bunch of cards, and then replace it.
Yep.
It's not something that needs to sit in your hand for a long period of time, which
is nice.
I think is nice. Yeah.
Yeah, no, if it like exhausted, I think this would be a bad card. But the fact that it doesn't exhaust, I think it's quite good.
Yeah, and more, I think I've been kind of playing Seekers that way, with more than 2 things that go in their hand slots, but I rotate them in. I like burn through the Fingerprint kit and then replace it. And then even similarly, the Seeker, I think, is the main class where I will play the allies without name tags, the Research Librarian and stuff, and then just let them die and play another one, let it die and play another one.
The revolving door of allies.
Right. Maybe that's just because Seeker allies are like either terrible or overpowered. There's
no in between.
There's very few Seeker allies with name tags that like make me feel good about playing them. So.
Yeah, you're like, well, I'm cheating, but
right. Yeah.
Or like, oh, my person comes into play and I draw 2 cards, and that's it.
Right.
Yeah. Not much in between.
All right, I want to take notes on your thoughts on this next one.
All right, well then you better do some research. My research notes. 1 cost asset, intellect icon, item, tome, and science rated. Another tome. A reaction, and also takes up a hand slot. A reaction. After a player card ability places 1 or more clues on your location, place that many resources on research notes as evidence.
More evidence.
Okay. And that's interesting. So my brain goes immediately to the only, in my opinion, like, pretty mediumly strength Seeker ally, which is Malison, I want to say?
Yeah, he's the one that lets you drop a clue to redraw your encounter card, right?
Exactly.
Or maybe if it was a treachery, I think.
No, I think it's just straight
Any
up
encounter card? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's quite good.
There's a couple other... I think there's some events that now... Because these cards have always been unplayably bad.
Yeah.
None of the specifics or the titles are coming to mind, but I think there's a couple events that are like drop a clue...
There's a level 1 cost. Cancel that's I think it's forewarned, I might want to say.
That sounds right. Yeah.
Where you drop a clue to cancel a treachery,
which
is quite a good card in my opinion. I think 1 clue for a seeker to pick back up instead of dealing with the treacheries.
I've never seen you play it.
I have played it.
Okay.
I play Arkham without you.
Well, if you say so. We haven't actually read the part of the card that does anything.
That seemed great. What do you mean? Yes, there's an action, not just a reaction on this card. The action is Test Intellect 0.
Sure.
For each point you succeed by, you may spend 1 evidence to discover 1 clue at your location.
Ooh.
Wow.
So you play...
That's hot.
You play several of those effects that drop clues to accrue some evidence on here, and then you spend them to get all those clues back all at once.
So it's a 1-to-1. You're dropping clues and you're gaining that much evidence, and then to use evidence you can pick up that many clues.
Right, which just undoes all the dropping, essentially. It is not quite like break even because you are spending 1 action to get them all back.
Still.
And you have to pass the test, like an auto-fail,
No,
something
of
can thwart it.
And if you don't pass it by enough, if you're trying to like pick up 3 clues or whatever.
But it can also... Maybe this is getting too cute, and in practice you wouldn't really do this, but you could also use a few of those abilities that drop clues, and then get evidence on here, and then move into the location where it's like, our scenario objective is to get a huge number of clues off of this location. And just pick up 5 at once with this.
Yeah, or just like, low shroud, high shroud bullshit.
Exactly, yeah. Although... if it's as simple as that, I mean, you would need to clear the location, right? Because otherwise you're just spending... if you need to get clues and you're dropping them just to get them from over here, like, that's not...
Well, no, I
a
know,
good
but
use
I'm
of your
saying like
time.
if you're like
Yeah.
if you're hoarding on some clues or whatever, you could be like, oh, okay, cool. I just moved into this, two shroud location with no more clues on it. I accidentally draw a bad treachery. I do some crap, drop some clues,
Well-
get some evidence, pick up them naturally by investigating, then move into the high thing and use the evidence for there.
This does not help you recover from treacheries making you drop clues. It says if a player card affects.
Oh no, sorry, I meant like using malice in when you draw a bad treachery.
Got
or
it.
something
Got
like
it. Yeah. This is, maybe we'll see more cards for that here. But this is a card that kind of creates a new archetype, right?
Yeah.
Like there's never been a reason to take that smattering of cards that drop clues for effects and put them all into your deck.
Yeah, no.
Right? In fact, you probably would never want more than like one of them because it's just setting you back on completing the scenario.
No, I agree. I think this is a cool. I mean, like this is maybe one of my favorite Seeker archetypes that's come out in a while. Just because I find Seeker so boring.
Right.
They're like, oh, we just play the game really well. I'm like, fun.
Yeah. Right. I love this. This is kind of low key, like, because I don't actually know that it's that powerful a card, but low key, this is I think one of my favorite cards that we've looked at yet. In the Scarlet Keys.
I was just about to agree
because it opens up a whole direction you can go in.
Yeah. No, love it.
Very cool. Then we've got. This is another card that I will have to put in my Vincent deck on its name alone. The Bizarre Diagnosis.
And that art, oof.
Oh man, yeah, that is gory. I do love that the Doctor is like, it is the goriest possible version of, like, he's like got the bone saw, he does amputations. He's the kind of doctor that
the 1920s deserved.
Yeah, exactly. So this is a 0-cost Seeker event with 2 intellect icons, so that's always good. It's an insight and science traded. It says place 1 of your clues on your location. Hey, there's some synergy with research notes. Then heal 3 damage from an investigator or ally asset at your location.
Wow.
Unconventional ailments require unconventional treatments. Okay, I'm glancing back at Vincent to see whether he cares about healing more than 1 at a time. He doesn't. Which would make sense because they can only have 1 copy of On the Mend anyway, so yeah.
Yep. I was just glancing back to see how you actually heal wounded bystander, and it's an ally.
Yes, so this single-handedly can clear your wounded bystander from play right after it enters play with 3 damage.
Pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's funny because there's still, even though healing, like, he can damage himself to fight. I feel like we need to see a little bit more ways to take damage in exchange for good effects, because in the average game, you don't need that much healing, right? Like, Carolyn kind of does the same thing as, like, Carolyn runs cards that create sanity, or create horror, rather, on their own, just so that she can heal them and draw the cards.
Right?
And, yeah, forbidden knowledge, right, that kind of thing. And there's not that much of that for damage that I can think of. The bone saw, obviously.
I mean, the one that jumps to mind is, what's it called? The Guardian spell, blood ritual, blood rite.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's a really cool art with, like, it's like a magical dagger.
Yes, and there was a little bit higher level version of it that was better, too. Yeah, it's not
I think it was a
a
lower level version.
I think that's true.
It
Yeah,
was like, take 1 damage instead of take any number of
so
damage.
Vincent can... Damn, I wish I remembered exactly what level that was, but if it's 0 or 1, then Vincent can play it, and probably would.
I think the better one is level 1.
Yeah.
Which takes 1 damage.
The one that's... Yeah. Okay, so that's probably a card that he runs.
Yeah, definitely.
And then, we'll see if there's more options to take damage. I don't remember seeing any in the red or blue cards from the Scarlet Keys yet, because those are the other 2 colors he can run.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I think it's probably a Vincent staple. I don't know that this is that good a card for anyone else, but that's okay.
I mean, I think if you need the damage heal in, like, any Seeker...
you
like,
could do worse.
Yeah, 1 clue drop for a Seeker is nothing. 0 cost, 2 intellect icons if you don't need it.
Yeah, it's probably good for Daisy.
Everything's good for Daisy. All right, let's talk about Captivating Discoveries next.
Ooh.
So Captivating Discovery is a 1-cost event, intellect and agility icons, insight traded, so Joe can put it in his hunch deck.
Right.
Search. I don't know why we're talking about Joe so much. I haven't thought about Joe in so long.
It's been, there's a lot of crossover between, like, what the different classes are doing in this set, and he lives in one of those crossovers. So
I guess so. Search the top 6 cards of your deck. You may place up to 3 of your clues on your location. Oof. For each clue you place in this way, choose and add 2 of the searched cards to your hand. Shuffle your deck. So this can be a 6-card draw if you had 3 clues.
And you're willing to drop them.
And you're willing to drop them.
And I've already glanced backwards at research notes, and it does give you as much evidence as the number of clues that you dropped. It does even say, it says 1 or more of your clues, and I'm not sure there's ever been more than 1 at a time, but here's now, the opportunity to drop more than 1.
And then after that, you shuffle your deck, and then, don't you realize what this means? Why don't you calm down and tell me very slowly?
Interesting. Okay, so you could... I think that a lot of the time, there will be a weakness in the top 6 cards. So unless you want to opt into that weakness, you probably only drop 2 clues so you don't have to draw it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I think usually out of 6 cards, you're only like, oh, I really want 4 of them.
Yeah.
You know.
This whole Seeker archetype was really unexpected, and I think it's cool that we've had three cards so far that support this dropping clues thing. It doesn't seem to be Vincent's thing per se.
No.
And maybe because the research notes use evidence also, it is meant to be an option for Daryl.
It's definitely
to go down that road.
Daryl.
But I'm excited about it.
Yeah, no, it seems really cool. And I do think Forewarned is a great card. I think Malison's a great card, so we already have some tech in previous cycles that will support this nicely.
This is I don't know how we made it this far without saying because it's a search card, but Mandy can like look at 9 cards and choose 6, which is even better. Yeah, wow. Great for her. And then she's probably running cards that, discovery cards that are, what are they called? Research traded cards that trigger when she searched anyway. And I think this card's likely excellent.
It feels really good at 1 cost too. Like it reminds me of I think it's No Stone Unturned, which is look at the top 6 for a
card,
and that's 2 cost event. So I feel like for the cost of clues seems reasonable.
The low price of
and
1
Joe,
here.
And Joe plays it, at 0.
True. Yeah. Although he also plays No Stone Unturned to 0.
Yeah, that's true.
All right. Next up is Map the Area. It is a 1-cost Seeker event that is Insight and Tactic traded. Investigate. Add your willpower or agility to your skill value for this investigation. If you succeed, instead of discovering clues at this location, attach Map the Area to it. Limit 1 per location. Reduce the difficulty of all skill tests at attached location by 1. Ooh. This is interesting.
This is interesting.
It is not just... So, my brain was... I was getting ready to compare it to Breach the Door, the new Guardian card from this box that lets you reduce the shroud of your location when you attach it.
Right.
But this is limited to 1, and that can do more, but this is all skill tests. So you also want to sit there for fighting and evading and even be there during the Mythos phase for treacheries. Like, this really creates almost like a little...
safe haven.
Yeah, it's like your safe room or something.
Interesting. I kind of didn't think about all of the skill tests that you might be taking in a single location. But there's... I don't know. I struggle with things that attach to locations because locations are so impermanent.
Yeah, and recent campaigns have just had bigger and bigger maps.
True.
To where, like, is mapping 1 location on an edge of the earth scenario going to do you much good? Yeah, it doesn't feel very useful to me, but you go back to all the multiple kind of like wheel and spokes layouts in Dunwich and that kind of thing, and mapping like the center of those would just be would be great.
Yeah.
I think this is really interesting. I actually think it probably doesn't make the cut in a lot of decks.
Yeah, I would agree.
Whose deck does this go in? I don't know.
I'm like, I wish it didn't say like, instead of discovering clues.
I'm reaching off camera to get Carson's card. Okay, if you choose Seeker, this is another very supporty, selfless card for Carson to run.
Okay.
Maybe he does some mapping when he's not giving away all his actions.
Oh, Carson. Yeah. How did you guys feel about Carson? We don't need to talk about that right now, but we'll talk after. I wanted to hear your final thoughts, but I wasn't here.
No, you bailed on us.
I know.
There's a video on YouTube that you can watch for that.
In 5 weeks?
Well, at the time that this is on YouTube, it's already out.
Go check it out. Alright, map the area. Fine, kind of bad.
I think it's kind of bad. It's cool.
Yeah, agreed. There's a few of those cards in this cycle where I'm like, Really cool, bad.
Yep. Yep.
All right. Is this me now?
Mhm.
Yeah. Analysis, a skill card with a wild icon. Practice traded, so someone cares about practice. Oh, it's Amanda. Never mind.
Oh yeah, and then practice makes perfect.
True.
Finds it. Yeah.
That's true. Practice makes perfect and finest. After revealing a chaos token for this skill test, you may place one of your clues on your location to cancel that chaos token, return it to the bag, and reveal a new one. Okay, I got really excited and then got less excited. You may do this any number of times.
Oh, dropping a clue each time.
That's pretty good.
Again, if you've got research notes and every clue you drop is just one more that you can pick back up all in one action. Although if you've like done this and did 3 redraws and also dropped 3 clues for captivating discovery, then all of a sudden because the research notes you have to succeed by that much, and so all of a sudden maybe you're not getting them all back at once.
Yeah, but still,
this is really interesting. It would be
it's Wendy on a stick-ish.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, just a clue instead of a card.
Yeah.
It kind of gives me Defiance, though, where it's like, it's a skill card, so you have to commit it to a test before you know whether any of this text will be relevant at all, right? Like, a lot of the time you're going to put it into a test and then draw a +1. And then this was...
Sure.
nothing, you know?
I mean,
and for all skill cards are that to some extent. Like, sometimes you just didn't need the icons. But
I like it. I like it for... I mean, there's very, very few cards in the game that can cancel an autofail. This is one of them.
True. This does not say non-autofail chaos token. That is rare, especially
rare.
on a level 0 card.
Yeah.
That is the power of dropping clues, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, they're pretty valuable.
You can do some stuff you can't usually do.
Yeah, wow.
Okay, I'm really interested to try this deck, and I actually have a sneaking feeling that it's going to just be bad. You just spend too much time dropping your clues and picking them up again and never get anything actually done. That said, I'm eager to do it.
I mean, it is your brand.
Yes.
Not doing anything for the game.
Yep, it totally is. Yeah, so you just play a well-rounded character that can do everything while I sit here and drop my clues and pick them back up and drop them again. It'll be perfect.
Oh, man. Yeah, no, I'm actually excited to play this archetype, too. I mean, there's so much support. How often do we see, like, an entire cycle that's developing a archetype?
Yeah, like, I don't think that and this is more interesting to me than the cards in combination that we saw around Doom in Mystic. And I don't think we've ever seen a box that does like the succeed by archetype kind of so much all at once or something. Like this is kind of heavy-handed.
Yeah.
And I'm fine with that.
Yeah, me too. I'm like, give me the tools I need to support this deck that I want to build.
Well, and the one other thing, I know it's not like new and novel that we're getting an entire cycle's worth of player cards in one box.
Sure.
But it used to be that this would be one every other pack through the cycle, and then finally at the end of the campaign, we'd be like, oh, now we could have built that deck.
Yeah,
right?
But I'm not going to because I've already played with the cards.
So this is the kind of thing that we can get all at once under the new model, and that's one of the reasons that I love the new.
Yeah, no, the new model, I'm a big fan.
Yep.
Except for these, 8-hour videos.
Agreed. It is a little bit taxing for us content creators, but I'm not
woe is me.
Not looking a gift horse in the mouth. Yeah. Well, there's been a lot of new clothing, I feel like, in Scarlet Keys. Like Lab Coat. It's a 2-cost seeker asset that is item, clothing, and also science traded. There's been some science in this box.
And we're at XP.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we're through the level 0 cards. At least other than the customizable ones, sure to come later. This is a body slot asset that has 1 health, 1 sanity, and a reaction. When you would fail a skill test on a seeker card by 1 or less, exhaust Lab Coat, you succeed by 0 instead. Huge meh for me on this. Oh, it makes you feel like you know what you're doing, even when you're in way over your head. That's a good line.
And it's a 1 experience. I don't know if you said that.
I did.
Okay.
It's a level 1.
Cool. Yeah, I need the cards. I need the list of cards that this cares about in front of me, and then I will decide. I mean, the nice thing is, like, things like Fingerprint Kit, those are tests on a seeker card.
Oh, see, I was thinking exclusively of the cards like the healing tome that then tests and could heal a second point of damage, like
Sure,
the ones
sure.
that literally have like the difficulty printed on them. But I guess you're right. This works with investigate cards.
Yeah.
Or like asset, fingerprint kit, anything
So, I mean,
that
it's
investigates.
kind of like mini
Yeah.
lucky for that, and I love that.
Okay, I'm back to this being decent.
Yeah.
As long as you're investigating with tools or events
Or events.
or that kind of thing, and as long as they're seeker cards, then this is kind of like, since you would have to fail by 1 or less, it's kind of like a +1 to your skill on tests on cards. Right? On
Yeah.
seeker cards.
on secret cards. Yeah, no, I think it's good. I feel like I can't really do a great job of reviewing how powerful it is without having it in a deck with a bunch of secret cards
Yeah.
that will do those things, but it seems good.
Yeah, and I don't think that your average seeker cares much about their body slot. So
No.
they're happy to put their...
I think you could just caveat that with investigator.
That's true. Although we're seeing more
some,
options. Yeah. Eventually, we're gonna get so many good body slot cards that we're gonna be clamoring for the permanent that gives you 2 body slots.
You mean morbidly obese?
That's
As
the
Scott
one. Yeah.
said many years ago. He's
Is
like,
that right?
It drops your agility to 1, but it gives you 2 body slots.
I was just thinking of like, it's just called wearing layers. Or something.
It's cold. It's cold outside.
Yeah. Pack layers. Yeah.
That's funny. All right. It's me next, right? Morphic theory.
Whoa, this is cool, creepy art with kind of the like black and gold motif.
Like, yeah, and like very what are these sketches on the walls? Like hieroglyph type feeling to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really really cool art.
All right, 10 out of 10 cards so far.
Yeah, I'm sure it's gonna say that way.
Yep.
All right, so it is a 2-cost, 1 experience asset, spell traded, and it takes up an arcane slot.
Okay.
Uses 4 secrets. As a free action, spend a secret. Choose any non-weakness treachery not attached to an elite enemy. Until the end of the round, treat that card's printed text box as if it were blank. Interesting.
It's not a 10 out of 10 card anymore.
It's not very... it's interesting. Is it good?
No.
It's so niche.
Yep.
Where does this hit? Like, where does this do anything? I can't even think off the top of my head.
I mean, there's a lot of treacheries in play in Edge of the Earth. All those hazards that attach to locations. This can blank those. This can blank the hexes that might be on you in the Circle Undone. Like, I think you'd only run this in specific campaigns.
Yeah.
That
I
really
agree.
use kind of a themed suite of treacheries to challenge you in a certain way. That said, I'm not even sure it's good enough to make the cut in those. Like, a leveled up card to just blank treacheries in most cases, like those hexes, this doesn't get rid of them. It just lets you ignore them for a turn.
I don't know if you're right. I think it might be good.
Really?
I'm trying to think of some edge cases, and like ones that popped into mind were ones like this is a really random one and a really long time ago, but the one that found a cultist in the Return to Night of the Zealot, and it attached the like thing that made them aloof and gave them +2 hit points, like blanking something like an attachment on an enemy, non-elite enemy,
Right.
Obviously, but like that seems pretty good. I mean, big things like Frozen in Fear, I guess it would blanket till the end of the round, so you wouldn't be able to test it away. Using its forced ability, so not quite as good.
Yeah, that I thought about that too. Is like anything that would have gone away at the end of the round anyway is going to stick around until you until you don't blank it. Right?
Yeah,
one
because
turn.
because also the text is until the end of the round, and then like a forced ability would trigger before this one would turn off the blank. Okay.
No, I don't think this ever comes out of the binder.
Yeah, it's probably, again, I think very, very specific. If it was level 0, you might find like a versa.
Maybe. And I'm awkwardly reaching for Carson again. Can he play assets? No, events and/or skills. In fact, so when I said that he might do, I can't remember what card I said would be good for him, whether it was an asset or not.
It was an event.
I might have been wrong before. So even he can't. I was like, well, is this for him? Because if he goes Seeker, this is very supporty. It can blank anyone's treacheries. but it's not for Carson at least. It could be something that you throw in at a high player count because it is quite flexible then. There's just going to be a lot of treacheries in play in a 4-player game, whether they're on locations or on other players or what. This does not help with weaknesses, but still, in a higher player count, you have a lot of targets and potentially have some clutch times to use this.
Yeah.
At 2... I don't even really talk about 1 because I never played true solo, but at 2 players, I don't think I would play this ever. It's just too niche.
Yeah, alright.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Next up is an existential riddle. It's a great name for a card. It's a 1-cost level 1 seeker event. It's an insight and paradox traded. It says parlay. Choose a non-elite enemy at your location and test willpower or intellect 8. But then it goes on to say this test gets -1 difficulty for each other card in your hand. If you succeed, automatically evade the chosen enemy and attach existential riddle to it. And then we get to then the final last 4 words of the card are what the card actually does, which is attach enemy gains aloof. So it's a new way to do like a non-violent kind of disposing of an enemy, because this doesn't have it's not that this lasts for a turn or 2. It just permanently gives the enemy aloof, which on an enemy that's not placing doom on itself every round or something like that, it kind of functionally defeats the enemy.
Sure.
I think this is potentially pretty cool.
Yeah, I would agree. And obviously, if you're doing the big hand type archetype, this is going to be a really easy test to hit.
Yep.
And for 1 XP, 1 cost, I think it's good.
I think it's a good card.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think it's that interesting, but it's good.
No.
Ooh, an upgraded card. This one's definitely going to go in Carson. I can already tell you that.
Yeah.
Because it is Guidance, which is used to be a level 0 card, and now it's an upgraded level 1 card. 0-cost event, an insight traded card that is choose another investigator at your location who has yet to take their turn this round. During their turn this round, the chosen investigator gets a +1 to each of their skills and may take an additional action. Playing Guidance does not provoke attacks of opportunity. So another way, like the original Guidance, I think all this does differently is it gives you +1 to all your skills.
Yeah, the original Guidance might not have cost 0. It might have cost more than that. I'm not sure.
I can't remember.
Yeah, me neither, because I probably never put it in
I think
a deck.
it's 1 or 0. I feel like it is 0.
Yeah, I agree that if Carson is playing Seeker as his splash class, this is probably good for him. It does not combo with his ability, because this buffs their skills during that player's turn, and you are giving them actions out of turn with the other action that you're giving them.
Yep.
So that's a little bit of a weird non-bow.
Yeah.
But other than that, yeah, it's a very supporty card. It's yet another way to functionally give away your actions. It's probably super Carson, and I can't think of any other time I would play it.
Exactly. Well, why don't we talk about another old card with a renew?
Speak of the devil, here's upgraded Dr. William T. Malson, working on something bigger. Didn't his title used to be working on something big? That's fun. I'm really digging the subtle flavor changes between the upgraded cards. When the art or the flavor text, or in this case, the subtitle changes.
Yep.
Love that.
Me too.
He's a 1-cost level 2 seeker asset that is an ally and Miskatonic traded. He's in the ally slot with 2 health, 2 sanity, and as a reaction, whenever any investigator draws an encounter card from the encounter deck, any investigator,
that's so good.
Exhaust Dr. William T. Malison and place one of your clues at your location. That investigator draws another card from the top of the encounter deck, chooses one of those 2 cards to resolve, and cancels and discards the other. Oh, so
very different.
He no longer even risks you canceling one thing and drawing the one thing in the deck that is even worse, right?
Yeah. So it's when an investigator draws a card, is that before they look at it?
No, it's you. They have to look at it.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, because that would be when they would draw a card. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. You're right, because the word "when" means it's like an effect that happens right up front. So that's a little. You're right. That's a little weird, but I've got to think.
So I felt like it was after the original William was after an investigator draws a card from the encounter deck.
That's interesting. Yeah, it is a. I had assumed that you get to see the first one and then decide whether you want to give them a second one to choose between, but I could be wrong. It could be that you have to choose it's just a clutch situation where a horror treachery would knock a player out or something. So like it's
Sure.
time to use him to make sure that you can find one that's going to be safer.
If he doesn't get to look, I think level 0 is better. If he does get to look, this is really great.
And that's part of why I think he must get to look,
yeah.
right? Because otherwise, I think I agree that this is maybe not as good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
All right. Well, let's assume that you can look, and then decide to use him to draw a second card and choose between them after you drop a clue. Then, do you think this is a good card? 'Cause
Yeah, I think it's great.
Malison was always kind of like a pretty meh card. I felt like.
I think like gut check feel, I agree with you. It wasn't until like the Busters convinced me to give him a shot that I realized that he's just very good. Like why I think the Survivor card, I forget which tarot it is, the something of rods, the 9, I don't know. A tarot card for the Survivor that allows you to, when you draw a card, you can exhaust it and draw a different one from the deck, shuffling it back in. Very, very powerful.
But that one doesn't drop a clue when you use it.
Agreed, but it's also like, and then the other thing about Malison is he's a 1-cost ally with 2 and 2.
You're right.
That alone is huge.
That's true. If his text box was blank, he would not be that bad a card.
Yeah.
That's valid.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a lot of soak
soak
for one resource.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it takes up a pretty, hot spot in the ally slot, but damn.
And then the way I think about dropping clues has been completely transformed by research notes. Of course.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I do think in that research
Even
note deck,
more
that
upside.
I still expect to be mediocre, but I'm looking forward to it. I think you obviously put upgraded Malison into it.
Oh, yeah.
Just because, obviously. Yeah.
No doubt. All right. Let's move on to the Press Pass, which is a 4-cost 2 level 2 asset. Item and charm traded. There's someone who cared about charms. Was it the Mystic?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Amina did.
Amina. This is a accessory slot, and it's a reaction ability. After you spend 1 or more clues, or place 1 or more clues on a location, on your location, exhaust Press Pass, you may take an additional action during this turn, or your next turn if it's not currently your turn.
Ooh.
That just broke it all open, Brandon. This plus research notes means that there is essentially no cost, in big old quotation marks.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Big old quotation marks, but like, pretty good.
It's amazing how differently everyone treats you while you're wearing one.
It's true.
And then just the flavor of this Press Pass, like Daryl the photographer would wear a Press Pass,
Yeah.
like he can run it because it's only level 2.
Yep.
So it does make me really want to play Daryl that leans into the clue dropping thing with all his Seeker card access.
I love Seekers that are actually fun.
I think this is excellent and I was already eager to play this archetype with research notes, and now with this also.
Blew it wide open.
Huge. All of a sudden, dropping clues can be even a net positive.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're gaining an extra action each time, and then only need to spend 1 action to pick them back up.
Exactly.
Or pick up an equivalent number of clues somewhere else or whatever.
Yep.
With research notes.
Yeah, no, this is great.
Yeah.
Forewarned just became an amazing card.
For sure.
Because I think that, I can't remember if it's any investigator at your location you can cancel and drop a clue, but it's a good cancel. It's 0 cost, 1 experience.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Wow. All right, I'm excited. Let's play
Okay.
this like right after we're done with this video. Let's play some Arkham, roll up some decks.
Cancel our current campaign. Play the new cards. I guess that's kind of what you do when a new box comes out.
Yeah, right.
All other campaigns go on hiatus as you play the new shit. Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Well, this is another just obviously must buy on flavor alone for Vincent because it's the Surgical Kit, a level 3 2-cost Seeker asset that has 2 intellect icons, always good. Item, tool, and science traded, and it is slotless. A little weird to see like an item, tool, slotless card.
Yeah.
It's a great one to have like Bob buy you because if you're trying to just increase the number of items in your deck, any slotless item I'm into with Bob. This uses 4 supplies and says, as a reaction, when one of your card effects heals damage from an investigator, spend 1 supply. Either that effect heals an additional damage, or you draw 1 card and heal 1 horror. Wow. And then there's double action, heal 3 damage from an investigator or ally asset at your location. So it 4 times can let you spend a supply to heal extra or draw a card and heal a horror yourself. And then any number of times
forever.
you can use this double action.
Wow.
2 actions is always tough to fit into a turn.
Sure.
So unless you've got a Carson giving you some extra actions to get the other things done that you need to do, that might as well say once per game on it probably, but
Likely.
I think this card is great for Vincent, and you would never play it any other time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Agreed. Yeah, I mean it's reminiscent of Carolyn's signature.
Right.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, it's reminiscent of Carolyn's ability, right? When you heal
Sure.
you heal damage, draw a card.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, fair enough. I had to take out dissection tools because I was like, this almost looks like the upgrade to the dissection tools.
Oh, but because of their arts?
Yeah,
Or,
I mean, it's just surgical kit, dissection tools.
It is
similar.
They are both just like suites of sharp instruments. Yeah.
Exactly.
Dissection tools is for dead things, and surgical kit is for alive things. And other than that, they are exactly the same product.
Exactly. Glad we could agree on this.
It's just marketing. It's the difference between
Just
dissection tools
marketing.
and surgical kit.
Wonderful.
Yeah. Wow. Speaking of tools, what's next?
Oh boy, do we have a new fingerprint kit. Yes, we do. It is a fingerprint kit level 4, cost 5. So it's 4 experience and an additional resource. This thing better be great.
I bet it might be.
I bet it might be. It is an item tool that takes up a hand slot.
Yeah, hand slide.
Hand slide. Sleight of ally. Sleight of friend.
Sleight of friends.
Uses 3 supplies. So far, it seems exactly the same.
Yep.
Exhaust fingerprint kit and spend 1 supply. Investigate. You get +2 intellect boost for this investigation. If you succeed, you discover 2 additional clues from your location. Good in 3-player. Bad everywhere else.
Oh, good in 3 Yeah, because so many locations would have 3 or 6 clues on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the difference of 1 additional clue and 1 intellect at the cost of 4 experience and making the card itself cost more actually doesn't feel very good.
Pretty bad.
No.
It's kind of like Rite of Seeking 5 or 4, whatever that one was.
You know what I want to see from this that you see in leveled up cards sometimes is I want the spending a supply to be if you succeed, so that you don't waste supplies on failures.
Yeah. Especially if it's so expensive.
That I think would make this more interesting to me. But
Yep.
Seekers have a lot of fun things to spend their experience on, and I don't most of the time see myself spending 4 here.
No, and I understand you keep it 3 supplies because there's so many things that can boost supplies, and then that becomes very, very powerful. But yeah, I don't know.
Nah.
And I was just gonna say, does it still exhaust? It still exhausts. So.
Yeah.
It just, okay.
It just adds +1 to all the things, including the resource cost.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Pretty mediocre.
Bummer.
Yeah.
All right.
Moving on.
The next card is Grey's Anatomy, the Doctor's Bible. It's a level 5. Level 5 tomes are usually pretty splashy, so I'm excited here. I can already tell you it's going to be good for Daisy.
Drake.
Costs 3 resources, and it goes in a hand slot, item and tome traded. Action, choose a card at your location and test Intellect 1. For each point you succeed by, choose one. The next time that card would be healed this round, heal +1 damage or horror to a maximum of 3. Or the next time that card would be dealt damage this round, deal +1 damage to a maximum of +3.
Okay.
And this does not have supplies or secrets, no limitation on the number of times you use this.
Okay. So in Daisy, this is a free action. Test 5 against 1.
Yeah.
Likely do 1 or both of these things multiple times.
Yeah, it doesn't exhaust.
The only thing that's kind of about it is it's this round. So you need to this is a combo piece for this round. So you're spending an action on this to then spend an action on something else.
Yeah. Yeah, so you're spending an action on this to then... I guess we didn't see anything yet in this set of cards that is like action heal damage, right? Even the Bone Saw is it's a once per game ability, and the Surgical Kit we just saw is a double action, which that's hard to squeeze in with another card that takes an action.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the more interesting side of this is as a Seeker to be able to be like, hey Guardian, your next hit deals +3 damage. That seems pretty good.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so he can take survivor cards. So I was wondering, there's like bandages is really good for Vincent, right?
Yes, it would be.
Yeah.
For sure.
Like free action healing and giving skill cards away.
And then bandages combined with the bone saw that deals some self damage to do extra damage. Yeah, just excellent.
Oh yeah,
combo.
no,
right.
great
Yeah,
combo.
that, and just flavor wise, obviously
Yeah.
the doctor has bandages. So yes, I don't know how we didn't say that earlier.
Yeah. Well,
But
took us an hour into the video to decide, hey, bandages, good card for the doctor.
So, unlike the other Doctor-themed cards, and this is, even though it's a tome, it is a Doctor-themed tome, I don't think that this is a staple for Vincent. I think you might play this depending on your, like, team comp. But,
Really?
yeah.
I feel like it's a
I don't-
slam dunk.
I don't think you're spending 5 experience on a card that gives +1 to the next time you heal. Like...
Plus 3.
Plus 3 if you pass the test well, which you probably will, but still, I think with Vincent, you want to heal repeatedly. You don't want to heal once and
big
then be
chunk,
done
yeah.
healing.
Because
you wanna,
healing is, limited.
Yeah, you want to heal, let them use the skill you gave them. Heal again, let them use the skill you gave them. Like, that's how you maximize his ability and everything. Turning 1 healing into 4 healing is, I mean, good on its own, but not why Vincent is fun.
So good and Daisy.
Yeah, I think that it is the amping the next damage. Whether you combine it with why am I blanking on the was it a core set event that attacks with intellect? I've got a plan. I think
I've got a plan.
Yeah, or the
Mind Over Matter.
curse themed event that does that is testless damage, and you draw curses to deal more damage. Right, like Seekers have some ways to use this and then land a hit that would have just been a little ping, and all of a sudden can take out a large enemy.
Yeah.
I guess the caveat that this does not avoid attacks of opportunity.
Yeah, that was what I was thinking too.
Yeah, so okay, so I think it's a support card to amp other players' damage.
If
why I would
only
play this.
Carson could take it. This would be a great Carson card.
Great Carson card. There's many reasons he cannot play it.
Indeed.
But oh well.
Oh well.
Okay, this one looks familiar. I think Steven and I previewed the Alchemical Distillation.
Ooh, it's our first of the customizables.
Yeah.
So our last 3 cards.
Yep.
Alchemical Distillation, 2-cost asset, item and science traded. I think you said something about this has been a big science pack. Which makes sense for the doctor.
That's true.
But customizable uses 3 supplies. As an action, spend 1 supply. Choose an investigator at your location and test intellect 1. If you succeed, that investigator performs one of the following options. And right now, it is either draw 2 cards or gain 2 resources, and it takes up a hand slot.
Yeah, this is super meh. Right, like a 2-cost hand slot asset to, as long as you don't fail any tests, draw/gain a combination of 6 units of value. That's not good enough.
Yeah.
Plus, you're spending 3 actions to get to those.
Yeah.
I think so far this is a pretty bad card.
Yeah.
So
let's see how it gets better.
yeah.
We have the Mending Distillate, which is heal 2 damage. We have the Calming.
It adds that option.
Yes,
right.
For an experience, sorry.
Yep.
So for an experience, we have the Mending. We have also the Calming for an experience to heal 2 horror.
Mm-hmm.
For an experience, we can get the Enlightening Distillate, which is place 1 charge or secret on an asset you control. That's probably the most interesting one so far.
Yeah.
For an experience, Quickening Distillate, move up to 2 times. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
For 2 experience, Refined, it enters play with 2 additional supplies, so now it's up to
Now we're
5
talking.
uses.
Yeah.
Okay, that's better. Yeah, I feel like if you're going to play this thing, you need to boost its supplies. Either through this or through other game boosty supply things.
Yeah, it's probably easiest to just do it through this.
Yeah. But, I mean, for 2 experience, though. Alright, for 4 experience, you can get Empowered. When you initiate the skill test, you may increase its difficulty by 2, and if you do, increase the value of the effect granted by each option by 1 for this test. That's interesting.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's move 3 times, that's heal 3 damage, draw 3 cards, gain 3 resources. That's powerful.
Yeah. I like the other one better.
Perfected?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, perfected is 5 experience cost. Again, we get to this thing where it's like, you're spending so much XP on these cards.
Yep.
Perfected. If you succeed by 2 or more, the chosen investigator may perform 2 different options instead of 1. Yeah, that's the better one.
Yep. So when we previewed this card, I was pretty meh on it, which is always disappointing because you want to be hyped about the card that your FFG gave you to announce the world. I'm still pretty meh on it. I will say I can see a little more use for it now that I've met Vincent, just because I was just saying, we haven't seen any new ways to repeatedly heal, and this is one, once you've done the mending on it. And then I think once you put 5 supplies on it, give it the ability to heal, and let players choose another option in addition to being healed, or 2 other options, as the case may be, I think it becomes pretty solid. At the cost of
8 experience.
A lot of experience. Yeah, for 8 experience, for 2 copies.
For 2 copies.
It upgrades both copies.
That's true.
In your deck.
Yeah. I think that's the thing I haven't grasped yet about these cards, is that I keep on looking at them as a single, card against sheet, and I know that it does too. But 2 experience for 2 cards, with a decent 2 experience effect, is actually quite good, because 1 experience a card,
I think that's why it makes kind of logical sense that the level of the card is half what you spent, because really spending 2 experience got you 2 level 1 cards. Yeah. That actually kind of adds up.
Yeah, and a 5 experience card, don't think of it like a 5 experience card, think of it like a 2.5 experience card.
Yeah. So yeah, I could see trying this out in Vincent, but I think that this is just a really kind of basic, moderate value card that is not very exciting.
I'll agree.
Yeah. But what will surely be more exciting is my empirical hypothesis. You still awake over there? It's a 2 costs seeker asset, talent and science traded. Even more science. I'm waiting for the card that ties together all this science stuff, and I haven't seen it. It is customizable, limit 1 per investigator. Forced, at the start of the round, choose one of the following criteria for this round. You fail a test by 2 or more, or you succeed at a test by 3 or more. When the chosen criteria is met, you may exhaust empirical hypothesis to add 1 evidence to it. And then you can spend 1 evidence to draw a card. Again, this is customizable, so there's a lot more to see. But this seems pretty dumb.
I need to read this whole card again. At the start of the round, choose one of the following criteria for the round. Fail a test by 2, succeed a test by 3. And
then you
spend evidence to do stuff.
Yeah, and plenty of rounds will go by where neither of those even happen, let alone you predicting which one happens. So that seems hard to trigger to me. And then in a vacuum, this card is kind of laughable that it's you gain an evidence, and then you can spend an evidence to draw a card when it would, if this card was not customizable, it would surely just say draw a card.
Sure.
and not bother with evidence. I guess the evidence is nice because Daryl can care about it.
In a different way.
But yeah, so how can we add to our hypothesis? We can add a pessimistic outlook, which is for 1 experience, add the following criteria: you run out of cards in your hand. That never happens. In practicality, almost never happens.
Yeah,
so that seems
that's
bad.
fair.
Okay, next is you can add trial and error. I do love the flavor of... in general, I've been really liking the flavor of all the things that you can modify this with. Whether it's a monster and you can add wings, or whether it's a damning testimony in court and you can add misleading arguments.
Yeah.
That's all very fun. So trial and error adds the following criteria: you are dealt damage or horror. Okay.
Now we're talking.
That's one you might predict pretty easily.
Yeah. Or play around.
Yeah, independent variable. Add the following criteria: you discard a treachery or enemy from play. Field research. Add the following criteria: you enter a location with 3 or more crowd. How did that happen? Criteria meets shroud, I guess. You enter a location with 3 or more shroud. These cost 2 experience now. You can add peer review. The chosen criteria is met if any investigator at your location meets it, and instead of only you. Other investigators at your location may trigger fast abilities on empirical hypothesis. Suddenly, anyone can draw cards.
Wow.
Yeah, that's exciting. But you can add a research grant for 2 experience. Empirical hypothesis gains fast ability, spend 2 evidence to reduce the cost of the next card you play this phase by 3. Suddenly, anyone can use this as an econ boost. if you've gotten both of those upgrades.
Sure.
Yeah. Irrefutable proof. The hypothesis gains spend 3 evidence to discover a clue at your location. And for 4 experience, alternative hypothesis. After you exhaust empirical hypothesis, you may resolve its forced effect choosing a criteria you have not chosen this round, then ready it. Oh, so suddenly you can do it multiple times if multiple different criteria are met. That seems
bad.
Like a trap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. It's a trap. What are your thoughts? I kind of love it. Like, I think it's not great.
No,
but I love it.
That's my main thought, is that this card is bad.
I think you can get this to trigger. I think you can get it to trigger.
Yeah, I think once you add something like damage or horror. So it's funny that adding the following criteria, it doesn't mean that every time that happens it triggers. It means that that is one other thing that you can predict. And it's a trade-off, right? Because all of a sudden you might have given yourself a trap where you predict damage and horror, but then you pass a test by 3, right? And you wish you had chosen that.
Yeah. I guess, yeah, so the getting evidence is nice, because Daryl can always use evidence for other things.
Yes, so Daryl, this has an extra layer for Daryl.
Yeah.
Other than that, I think that drawing a card when it triggers is pretty underwhelming, considering some rounds you're going to miss even triggering it. I think that spending 3 evidence, so successfully triggering this 3 times just to discover 1 clue, also underwhelming. I do think that the 2 evidence to reduce a card by 3 may be good.
Very good.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have to backpedal. I don't think this is bad anymore. It's changed in that quickly. It is a thing that you play 1 time for 2 cost, and then sits in play, and then just potentially gets met by the criteria throughout the round. You get things passively. That is why this is good. If I told you that at the beginning of the game, you could pay 2 resources and lose an action to, for the rest of the game, maybe draw 6 cards for free actions, I've just convinced you.
At the cost of an annoying process of every round remembering to make your prediction, and then pay attention to whether it's met. Part of me, I kind of dislike this for the same reason I dislike drawing thin, is that it adds a lot of baggage to what you have to think about as you play.
So the customizable cards, first of all, they add baggage by just the laundry list of things they could potentially do, and then an additional one where it's just making you think of criteria over and over throughout, and making active passive decisions.
Yeah, you have to remember this forced effect and it's forced. Honestly, if this was... I would like it better if this were reactive and optional, because then when you forget, like, damn, I forgot, oh well. Technically, when you forget, you broke the rules. Right? Like, you just cheated when you forget this.
Yeah.
It is a little weird that it's a forced effect.
It is a little weird. But it's nice for Lola, because it will still trigger if she's not a seeker.
I guess that's true.
You're welcome, Lola. We found a card for you.
Yeah.
I like it.
I
think the passive nature of it is actually quite good. Especially just think about the research grant. If you just got research grant, so you got 2 of these in your deck, 2 experience. Can they both be played? No. That's the whole customizable limit one. Research grant, and you hit this thing twice. Then you have a 3 cost discount. It's paid for itself, quotation marks.
Yeah. I don't know. And I have to acknowledge my hypocrisy a little bit here in that I loved the new... I can never... Because Underworld is on too many card names now, I can't remember the name of the new rogue permanent that gives you an extra side deck of illicit cards. I love that, and I love Daryl's mechanics, and I say it's because I like when you have kind of a little mini game that you're playing yourself, and that is what this is.
Yeah.
I just find this one to be annoying for some reason.
Yeah, I think this is great in Vincent, honestly, because I think you take trial and error.
Which is that the heal?
Heal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or sorry, deal damage. So you're,
when you're dealt damage. Okay, yeah.
So now there's more impotence for you to just like run around taking damage. You get cool things for it.
That's all. Incentive. You said
Sure.
impotence when you meant incentive,
Sure.
And I found it funny. That's all.
Great.
Go on.
I'm so glad.
Yeah. I'm just laughing at your impotence.
Yeah.
Okay?
All right. Did you say impotence?
That's what you said. Go on. I'm sure you.
There was a different word that I was thinking of.
You were thinking of incentive.
No, another one.
Huh.
Impetus. Impetus is what I said. Impetus.
Impetus.
Like it's a drive to do something.
There's an impetus. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I think I was right. Don't listen to you. All right. So yeah, you take trial and error early. You run around. You take damage. You heal the damage using your ability because that's what you want to do. And you also have all this evidence that you can now spend to reduce card costs. You can draw more cards for free actions. Seems great.
And you have spent like 8 experience on this at this point.
I'm only counting 3 of what I just said. Research grant and trial and error. Drawing cards using the natural ability and discounting cards using
so you're not letting other players...
No, F other players.
But I think peer review is like a must here. Then it triggers... Then the criteria is met more easily and other players can take advantage of it.
Yeah,
like,
I mean...
I don't think this is a card you play unless you're going to buy peer review.
Yeah, I agree. Maybe not agree, but yeah, I see what your point is.
Yeah.
Can Carson take this, and how do...
Carson cannot take it. He is only taking skills and
events, right.
This would be a fantastic Carson card.
If you can get peer reviewed.
Can't take it.
All right.
Yeah. This is a lovely card to versatile into Carson.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
You can't upgrade it, though. Can you?
Oh, versatile only lets you add a level 0 card, huh?
Yeah.
Ah, damn. No, you never mind. Actually, still maybe.
Still maybe.
Just to give free card draws to your team. No,
You
but not
can't.
to yourself.
No.
Oh, damn it. Okay, not even a good Carson
All right.
card.
Taking it out. No
Yeah.
Carson, no us.
Okay, surely there's one good secret customizable card, right?
Let's find out.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, the Raven Quill. 3-cost event. An event customizable. This might be like one of the first. I don't think it is, but it feels like... Oh, no, the trap was an event as well.
The trap was an event, so was the power word that attaches to an enemy, but
Right.
they've all been like attachments so far. Oh, so is this one.
Well, maybe I'll just read the card.
Why don't we do that?
All right, so it's an item, relic, and upgrade, so it will attach.
Uh-huh.
Customizable. When you purchase the Raven Quill, name a tome or spell asset. When you purchase the name... All right, name a tome or spell asset and record that name on its upgrade sheet.
So it's similar to, we've seen several others where you name a trait and write it on the sheet.
This is a specific tome or spell.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm already, like, digging this. I don't know if it's probably bad, but, like, I'm digging it.
I agree. So far, it's cool.
Yep.
But let's see if it's let's keep
All right. Attach to the named asset you control.
Okay.
So when you're playing it, it's attaching to that, is what it seems like.
Yeah,
right?
so when you add this to your deck, you're choosing one specific asset that is the only thing you can attach this to.
Yep.
So it's super... It really relies on you drawing that card.
Mm-hmm. And this card.
And this card.
All right.
Okay,
As a reaction, when you resign or the game ends, either mark a checkbox on the Raven Quill's upgrade sheet or reduce the experience cost to upgrade the attached asset before the next scenario by 1.
This is something that I already wish customizable cards were doing more of, is growing on their own.
Yeah.
If you accomplish a certain objective or something. Like, where's my customizable guardian weapon that if you defeat 3 or more enemies with it in a scenario, check one of its boxes at the end? Like, that would be so cool. So I hope that we see customizable come back someday with that kind of angle.
Yeah.
Because I think
this is the angle, right?
I guess. So this one is just at the end of the game, though.
Yeah, if it's in play, essentially.
Oh, if it's in play, so you
can't trigger the reaction if it's not in play.
Of course. So what it requires you to have done is found the named thing and played this on it. And then it doesn't, but that's all it does. Interesting.
Yeah,
I guess I was still waiting. I was still waiting for us to get to like once per round you can use that asset for a free ability or something.
Yeah.
So far, all that this has is an end of game effect.
So on its own, it's a 3-cost event that is. It can upgrade something or itself by 1 experience.
Yeah.
That's what I'm seeing right now.
And it only upgrades... Wait, reduce the experience cost to upgrade the attached asset. Oh, weird. So it mostly upgrades itself.
Yeah.
But it might...
It could upgrade shriveling from 0 to 3,
yeah.
1
I think that's mostly for spells. There's a lot more spells that have upgrade tiers than there are tomes.
There are some tomes, but yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed. All right, well, let's see what we can use the checkboxes on the Raven Quill for. So we could get the Living Quill, which is using attached assets. Action ability does not provoke attacks of opportunity. Not bad for like an investigate spell if that's kind of what you're going for.
Sure.
Or even the tome that we just saw when we were talking about
the Grey's Anatomy.
The Grey's Anatomy
that amps damage, but we were just saying it doesn't really help you fight unless you're going to take the opportunity attacks.
So the Raven Quill settles that one.
Yeah.
Okay. Spectral Binding. For 1 experience, attached asset does not take up any slots. Ooh, I like that a lot.
Yes, it still means that asset must have taken up a slot for a little while.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
So you can't, it doesn't mean like, oh, my hands are full, but I can still play the named asset.
Sure.
It doesn't work that way.
Nope.
But, okay.
For 2 experience, Mystic Vein, you get +2 skill value while performing skill tests on the attached asset.
That's the kind of thing I was expecting it to do. Okay.
Because for two experience, and you get 2 copies of this, I assume, you can turn like a Shriveling 0 into a Shriveling 3.
Right.
That's +2. That's all that does. All right. Dig it. Endless Inkwell. Name 2 more spell assets.
All of a sudden, you can more reliably play this and have more options.
For upgrading it. Mm-hmm. Like finding a different spell or tome and getting a cheaper upgrade next time. Can this get multiple copies?
It's unique.
It is unique. Okay.
Yeah, so you can have 2 copies in your deck, but limit 1 in play.
Sure. And it does have 2 intellect icons, so that's not bad to have a dead card.
Sure.
All right, let's talk about the Energy Sap. The quill gains free trigger, exhaust the Raven Quill, move 1 secret or 1 charge from an asset you control to the attached asset.
Okay.
Fine. It's kind of it's fine.
Yeah, that doesn't seem like one I'm likely to use, but maybe in a really specific deck where I'm really building around the asset that I've named here and want to just pull other tokens on. I don't know.
There was like the twine or something like that, which was essentially that.
Yeah, this is something Seeker's done before. Yeah.
Okay. Interwoven Ink. After you resolve the action ability on the attached asset, you may exhaust the Raven's Quill to ready another asset you control.
Interesting.
Weird.
Which could be the attached. Well, wait. Another. Oh, so so other than the attached asset. I was thinking that was referring to the Raven Quill, but it's not an asset, so that can't mean.
Oh, okay.
So it's got to be other than the attached asset. So
bad.
Yeah, that's bad.
Supernatural Record. I love how snap decision we are about things.
That's what this is for. These are first impressions.
I know.
Not deep in depth.
No.
Strategy talk.
Supernatural Record. When you play the Raven Quill, instead of attaching it to the named asset you control, you may search your deck, discard pile, and hand for a copy of the named asset and play it, paying its cost, then attach the Raven Quill to it. Now, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
But it's expensive at 4 experience.
Yes.
And you're still paying its costs.
Yeah.
I honestly, I think the Raven Quill, what I don't really love about it is 3 cost event is not cheap.
Yeah. Playing it every game to get the benefit of, still the primary benefit seeming to be the experience discount or it leveling up and starting to gain these other experience elements for free. 3 is a lot. Delve too deep and stuff don't cost that much. I'm torn because extra experience or extra campaign benefits, if you kind of jump through the hoops that feel appropriate for your class, is something I've been wanting to see more of. I love Let God Sort Them Out in Rogue. I've always thought that's a design space that there's a lot more room to do fun things with. Mm-hmm. And here, this is it. This is that design space being dabbled in. I just think it's a pretty bad version of it. Right? Because the experience gain, quote unquote, is so niche, it can only be used to upgrade this itself or to upgrade the attached card, which means it has to line up with you also wanting to spend the rest of the experience, because it probably costs you more than just the one to upgrade that card. It doesn't seem universally that exciting. Maybe just letting this kind of at no additional cost, making an asset not take a tax of opportunity and you get +2 skill value to it. Maybe that, for certain decks that are really built around an asset, maybe that is worth it, but yeah, I can't think of a good example.
I was just going to say, can we find an example of this? Because honestly, the thing that I'm struggling with is it seems like it's best for spells, but I don't like the permanency of an attachment on a spell because spells are so not permanent. Unless you're playing, like, the recharging spells archetype.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, who takes this card? Like, is it a tome? Is that actually the target for it?
I think it's mystics who take it, because it helps upgrade their spells, and it can move charges around between their spells. And so that makes this pretty useful. I can't think of a Seeker use case for it.
It has to be a tome, obviously.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Seekers have some spells, or splash spells.
Sure, but like, that's the thing is, if it's Mystic, they can only get up through an energy sap.
Oh yeah, if you're a Mystic splashing this, if you're a Marie or someone, she splashes red, but
yellow or red.
If you're
but
yeah,
it's only
that's right.
level 0.
Right. Yeah, if you're limited on the level for this, then part of its written ability of upgrading itself hits a wall.
Yeah.
I'm
trying to think of a case.
I really went on a roller coaster of excited to finally see more of this cards that deal with the campaign upgrading, and then it just plummeted as I'm like, how would I get any value out of this?
It's just a huge ask at 3 resources.
Yeah,
and it's an action. It's not even, if it was fast, I would think okay, 3 resources, sure. Sometimes you have that moment.
You combine this with a high-level empirical hypothesis to get a 3 discount on playing it, and then it's free. And then you've spent all your entire campaign's worth of experience on 2 customizable cards.
Yeah, what does this go on? Is there a tome that I'm not thinking of that specifically does cool things?
There probably are, and Mystics have tomes too. There's some pretty interesting high-level tomes. I don't think of them as mostly having tests on them, and I kind of think that one of the most obvious things you would like this to do while it's sitting on an asset is give you plus 2 skill value. And that's why my mind went to spells only, because those regularly have skill tests on
Me
them.
too, and that's why I was like, but then you only have 4 charges, and then what are you going to do? Leave the spell in place so that this can trigger at no charges for the rest of the game?
No, so it's got to be the Seeker who is splashing those spells. So it's good for Daisy.
Good for Daisy.
That's going to do it for the Seeker. First impressions. Turns out every card is good for Daisy, and dropping clues is good now. I think those are the 2 takeaways, right?
I mean, dropping clues is very interesting now. I'm ready to kick into a new campaign.
Yeah, I'm a
dropping clues.
I'm a little sad that we ended on the customizable cards, because I think we were pretty low on all of them. I actually overall was pretty high on a lot of these.
Of these secret cards are really cool.
I think Vincent is cool, if not, I don't know if he's good, but I do think he looks fun, and I don't know. We talked about with Carson that I like playing a support character, but I found that he doesn't seem like he'll have enough interesting things to do, right?
Yeah.
Eventually, okay, giving away all your actions is just that doesn't upgrade or get more interesting, or that's just gonna get old. This I think Vincent is a support that I'm more excited to play than Carson.
Yeah, I mean, from what I heard you guys talking about Carson yesterday, I'm like, so he has 30 cards of fodder?
Yeah.
He just sits there and does nothing.
He runs probably 20 skills, because that's the other thing he can do is put skill cards in people's tests. And yeah.
He seems like almost a third hand.
Yeah, this isn't the video about Carson, but I think that this is the support from this box that I'm way more interested to play than Carson.
Okay, fair enough.
And so I think that's cool, and then I love the new dropping clues archetype.
Yeah.
Skeptical about it being good, but
I'm not.
I want it to be good.
It's gonna be good.
Yeah.
I think with 8 XP, it's gonna be good.
Okay, so maybe that's our Scarlet Keys duo, is I'll play Vincent, you play someone else dropping clues. Seeker duo.
Oh, goodness gracious. Sure, Joe.
Perfect.
He's the other one we talked about today.
Yeah, Vincent and Joe. Okay.
Vincent and Joe.
I can see it. Yeah. All right, well, thank you, Kyle, for talking about a mixed bag of cards with me.
Always happy to, Brandon.
Thank you for watching. We've got one last video to come next week where we talk about neutral cards and basic weaknesses, which are, always a fairly low-key note to end on, but there might be an exception in this case.
I wonder if there's another big neutral card coming out.
We'll find out next week.
Stay tuned.
Till then, be optimal.